some water, so hopefully I don't
We'll
choke up. Oh, I'm already live though.
Oh, we're live already.
Yeah, I just hit the live button.
All right, that's it.
My bad. Good morning, everyone. I was just saying that I need a glass of water and I did not get it. So we have a guest today. Let's see. I think she's on here now, Lisa.
Hi,
Lisa. So we're just getting started. You haven't missed anything yet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go through the introduction and introduce you to our audience as soon as I get my notes up here. So for anyone who's joining us right now, you're watching Stand Up, Fight Back. And we're going to talk about a lot of fighting back, hopefully, today. Because I think we need to do a little more of that. A little more fighting back. I'll put it over here. So, sorry everyone, I'm a little bit slow this week. I got my second shot and it is kind of got me a little bit. So, so if I'm gonna sound like I'm like what, on another level, it's because I went and did my duty and got myself a second shot of vaccine to protect you and me from COVID-19. Okay, everyone, so good morning. You're watching our weekly Sunday morning show, Stand Up, Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. We simulcast on Facebook and YouTube, so please share us with your friends, your family members, your neighbor, the mayor of your city, whoever, and just please have them subscribe, follow us, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. I'm Margot Paez. I'm a scientist, engineer, and occasional journalist. And joining me is my amazing co-host, the wonderful grassroots organizer, Carlos Marroquin. Our guest today, well, we have two guests, but our first guest is Lisa Schultz. She's the founder of the Peace Project and has been working in Gaza since Israel's assault on Gaza in 2014, which killed 5,000 people and left over 100,000 homeless. The Peace Project has funded the creation of Gaza Poets Society, and it's exhibited the artwork of dozens of artists from Gaza. It's currently fundraising for a computer lab and healing center in Kizan Abu Rishwan, just outside Khan Younis refugee camp, which is one of the poorest areas of the besieged Gaza Strip. Later on, Antonieta Villamil will also be joining us. She is a bilingual poet and she is our poet in resident. She's also from Colombia. She will be giving us an update on what's happening there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning. Thank you, Lisa, for being with us. Carlos, Carlos, you're a little dark. Are you hiding somewhere? Are you hiding out from anybody?
I'm not hiding. It's just my lighting is really bad over here, but I'll fix that in a minute as soon as I get off the screen right now.
Well, Carlos, before you fix it, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lisa and what you know about our wonderful guest?
Oh, my goodness. Another amazing person that we have with us this morning, a tremendous organizer. I mean, I will need at least 10 minutes to be able to do a formal introduction for her because she's doing that much in the community. She's doing that much in the world. And, besides being a mom, she's a small business owner. But I have known now Lisa for a few years. And I tell you that she is one of the most inspiring people that I have met across my walk in the activism world. And she continues to make impact. She did a tremendous work with the response on COVID-19 as well. She has her hands on everything. So she's so happy that she agreed to join us this morning. We're going to be hearing a lot of important information from her and specifically the work that she's doing in Gaza. So yes, that is my introduction of Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling me. Margot, how would you like to proceed?
Oh, yeah. So normally if we had had a little bit more time before the show, I would have given you the rundown. But basically, we just have a nice, simple conversation about the work that you do, and try to educate our viewers and also get them involved in that work. So why don't you tell us a little bit about why you do this work in Gaza? I know we mentioned in your introduction that you started this project after, as a result of what happened in 2014. So what about what happened that year between Israel and the Palestinians that moved you so much to want to take this kind of action?
Right. So basically in 2010, I had founded the Peace Project, and we began working internationally. And the further I got into this work, and the more I really realized that one of the epicenters for social justice in the world is really in the Israel-Palestine area. And we had been doing a lot of work with artists around the world, mobilizing creative people to bring innovative and creative ideas to the table in regards to social justice. And as part of that, I found that Palestine, contrary to the narrative that had been prevalent in the United States for so long, was not a group of terrorists, but was in actuality a land of people that have been around for thousands of years before the creation of Israel, certainly, and had an incredibly deep history and culture. In both parts of Palestine, Gaza and the West Bank has a really deep well of creative talent. So we started tapping into that and really raising the voices of artists in Gaza in particular through our project and through traveling exhibits. And shortly after that happened, Israel's assault, which is often called mowing the lawn by the world's top scholars like Noam Chomsky, happened in 2014. And what people really need to understand is that Palestine does not have an army. They are not allowed to be armed by Israel, and because of the occupation. And so any violence against Palestine is completely lopsided. Israel is the fourth most powerful army in the world and has one of the largest defense budgets, which is partially funded by $3 billion that the US gives them every year. So during this assault in 2014, which saw over 5,000 Palestinians killed, including children, schools, United Nations schools were bombed, and 100,000 people were left homeless in the Gaza Strip, which is about the size of Detroit. I really was motivated to get more involved and to really gain a deeper understanding of the Israel-Palestine situation and to mobilize our community, our international community, to help in any way that we could. So we've been doing many things since then and are jumping in again right now.
That's great. So what's your take on what's happening right now with do you know much of what started this current assault?
So, I don't claim to be an expert on the Israel-Palestine situation, but I would encourage anyone who's really looking for factual information to follow a good friend of mine and someone who's from Gaza and is considered one of the foremost authorities on the Israel-Palestine situation, Ramzi Baroud, of the Palestine Chronicle. And basically, there's a lot of talk from Israelis as well that Bibi Netanyahu was days away from being dethroned, and that this assault on Gaza was actually an attempt to pander to his base, just like Trump does and did numerous times when he was president. And there's been this narrative that any resistance by Palestinians, and most notably by the political party Hamas, is terrorism. And so it's sort of like a red herring that gets trotted out anytime that they need to bring sentiment against the Palestinians. So, this bombing began. And I think that what experts like Ramzi Baroud are saying is that this conflict, or this war, because it can't be called a conflict, and it really is not a war, because there's not two equal sides that are fighting each other, that this Palestine is rising. When freedom is more important than life, you have a population that becomes ungovernable. And so you see people all over Palestine, whether it's in the West Bank or Gaza or in some areas of Israel, that basically are saying that's enough. And, this couldn't even be called a third intifada. They're saying that it's even more powerful than that. And Hamas, the political party in Gaza, is actually saying that they won't back down. And meanwhile, Netanyahu is on Israeli media saying that we have the support of President Biden, and so we're not backing down either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for anyone who has not been following, my understanding is that this started with, there's been a lot of illegal settlements that have been going on for many years, in which this is part of sort of the Zionist plan and Netanyahu's plan, which is to expand Israel and to take over Jerusalem, in which he was helped partly with Donald Trump in previous years to move the embassy there. And so Sheikh Jarrah is a neighborhood in East Jerusalem in which there were some sort of nationalist types who were trying to take over homes illegally. They claim that, this goes through the courts and it's up to the courts to do this. Of course, that's very upsetting to anyone who lives in a home and suddenly somebody is trying to come over and take your house from you, right? So then this also fell on at the end of Ramadan. And so that's supposed to be a day of celebration. And then, of course, there's the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is also there. It's probably one of the most sacred mosques in Islam. And there were, the IDF, they were attacking people who were trying to pray around there. And I think that from the foreign news that I've heard is that it's possible that Israel was trying to stop any people from being upset or from protesting against these illegal settlements. But I agree that with Lisa and some of the assessments that she's hearing with respect to Netanyahu, because he was indicted. He's an extremely corrupt politician, and he did not have enough votes in order to form a government. So right before this, there were talks that there may even be somebody else who would become prime minister in Israel. And this person, from what I heard, might have been even more of a right-winger than Netanyahu. So this is sort of kind of what's going on there. It's hard to put all of these pieces together because here in the United States we don't get a big picture in our news media, our cable news media. It tends to be more one-sided with a lot of reporting coming out of Israel. But I think we're seeing some mild shifts in the narrative. But Carlos, is there anything you wanna say or ask Lisa?
I commend Lisa for her work that she's doing with the people of Palestine. Look, the reality is that people are getting killed right now, and we're not talking about just any people. We're talking about good people. I know that the spin that the governments will say is that these are terrorist people, but the reality, look, yesterday we were over at West Los Angeles for a pro-Palestine march and rally that they were holding. Literally, there were rallies being held across the globe, across the United States. Here in Los Angeles, we had about 25,000 people. I went over there to document, as I always do, the marches. And Lisa, what I saw there yesterday, families coming together. I'm going to be posting some pictures. Families, I saw young people, I saw elderly, people in pain. I was looking into their eyes. People are hurting because the situation in Palestine been going on for decades, and pretty much there is no solution. They have found no solution. They have created no solution, no lasting one at least. And so the pain and the harm continues to be felt in the hearts and the lives of the people, especially families losing their children to this kind of violence. It needs to stop. And one thing that I saw is I saw a lot of people that I have attended all the Palestine events before, but the amount of people that are responding now, I think that the general public is educating themselves as to what really is going on, and they had enough of this.
Right. Yeah, I think that, like you, Carlos, I've been going to, I've stood in front of the Israeli embassy, which is typically where these protests usually start, numerous times, myself and a handful or 20 other people protesting the illegal occupation and the violence that's perpetrated against Palestinians every day. So it's incredible to see the protests that are happening in the United States, especially because worldwide, the narrative has not been the same. You know, people realize that Israel has been the aggressor. And so it's been amazing to see the protests in the United States and the support. It's exponentially greater than it's ever been. And, you know, I think
the kind of support that we're also getting from the Jewish community.
Yeah.
Have a lot of Israelites that are pretty much upset with what's going on, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
They are supporting Palestinians. A lot of them are now.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, what people don't realize, because the narrative has been so strong that, you know, Israel is a land with no people, for a people with no land. You know, yesterday actually marked the 73rd anniversary of Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic. And basically that's when the state of Israel was created, and between 700 and 750,000 Palestinians were killed and expelled from 400 villages and communities across the area. When they say from the river to the sea, that was the original area of Palestine. You know, there's been so much false information. And I think I'd just like to share what a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, there's this talk of a two-state solution. But what's happened is since the creation of Israel, Israel has been systematically building these illegal settlements throughout the West Bank. And if you look at maps of the attrition of Palestine, you'll see that they basically divide the West Bank up. And now there are 650,000 Israelis that live in the West Bank. And most of these, there's something that most people also don't know, and that is that people, Jews from around the world, get paid to come to Israel. And you can Google Aliyah, ALIYAH, payment, to get information on that. And that happens because Israel is trying to create a Jewish majority. So effectively, these settlements have made it impossible, and nearly, I don't know one expert on the area that doesn't believe this, but they've made it impossible for a two-state solution because there is no continuous land, Palestinian land, anymore. And I think we all realize that. We all realize that. You can look at it and see, and we realize that 650 Israelis are not going to be expelled out of their homes. So that's a reality with the two-state solution. And the other reality, there's been a lot of talk about the one-state solution, where it would basically be, one country. But if that happened, there are more Christians and Muslims in that area than there are Jews. So you wouldn't have a Jewish state. So basically, the situation for a Jewish state and for either a two-state or a one-state solution has become almost impossible if it's going to be a majority Jewish state.
So I just wanted to make a comment. You mentioned Aliyah. So the Aliyah is actually considered a very honorable thing to do as a Jew. I'm Jewish, and it's like it's seen as like, oh, return to home, like, oh, I'm making Aliyah, I'm going home, and it's generally seen as a very positive thing. But the state of Israel and Netanyahu in particular has really tried to promote Israel as the home of all Jews, as the place that represents all Jews. And I think that's where the problem arises. People who go to Israel to make Aliyah, I don't think all of them have an intention to destabilize the life of Palestinians, but obviously this is politicized. So I just wanted to make a point, because I didn't want anyone to get the impression that in general Aliyah is like a conspiracy to displace Palestinians or anything. Yeah.
Right. I'd like, I think that, and certainly I wasn't trying to infer that, but I would be curious, about your feelings, Margot, about the payments. What do you think that the basis of those is, and how do you think that affects the thinking and behavior of people who are paid to come to Israel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, the politicization of that is a problem. I mean, paying people to move, I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, Netanyahu, after some anti-Semitic attacks in France, was there, saying, come to Israel, this is your home. He's really on a mission to merge a national identity with a religious identity, which is a big problem. And of course, I disagree with, and actually a number of some like very ultra-Orthodox Jews also disagree with that. So that is a problem. And of course, I mean, there's also birthright, which is also a highly political and sort of brainwashing trip that is totally paid for people, Jews who are under, I guess, the age of 26. But although I think they recently extended it, now you can be in your early 30s, up to your early 30s. And that trip is supposed to basically, open your mind to the beauty of the state of Israel and try to, convince you to move there. So that is also that has a lot of criticism has been sent towards the birthright by Jewish organizations here in the United States, because American Jews are targeted for birthright. So that's also good. So we have some young Jewish organizations who are making a point, and actually they have gone and protested against these birthright trips, like going to the airports and talking to young people, young Jews, and giving them information and like saying, think about this, because it's a very one-sided trip.
Right.
So yeah, there's a huge politicization. There's a huge attempt from the state of Israel to indoctrinate Jews overseas into the support. And even recently, I saw a post from the local Chabad, which is near my university, and I've been there. I know the rabbi and his wife. They're very lovely people, but they have posted a few things that I'm personally uncomfortable with, like asking for prayers for Israel on Shabbat using the colors of the IDF. So that makes me uncomfortable because there's no acknowledgement of Palestinian life, and I'm worried because 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. We remember the Holocaust every year, and why did they die? Why did 6 million Jews die? Just so that we could do the same thing to another group of people. So that certainly concerns me, and I think that really concerns a lot of young Jews, millennials, Gen Z, and others who cannot hide from the videos are starting to see that you really need to question whether your values as a Jew line up with what the political state is doing in their name. So,
right. Lisa, tell us a little. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Carlos. I'm sorry.
I want to say that because I know time is flying by us, and we want to be able to talk a bit about Colombia. I don't think our guest is in yet, but
no, not yet.
Tell us a little bit about your work, because this is very important, and you have some goals.
Yeah, right, exactly.
A very positive thing in the midst of all this darkness.
Right. So basically, now that COVID is lifting, we've sort of refocused back on international projects. So as Carlos knows, we did a massive food distribution during the first 4 months of COVID through my business Gratitude Market. And now I've started up with some projects in Gaza and the West Bank again. And one that I think is particularly relevant right now is with a group of Gaza youth called Youth Stars, who have been doing incredible, passionate work in Gaza since 2014 in an area called Kazan Abu Rishwan, which is right outside of the Khan Yunis refugee camp. Most people don't realize, but of the 2 million people in Gaza, 1.4 million are refugees. Are considered refugees by United Nations standards. And so we've been working to develop a center that they have there building, and have raised funds for a computer lab. And we're also raising funds right now for a healing center in this building where we'll be providing different types of healing work, including meditation, breath work, yoga, because can you imagine for nearly everyone in Gaza, they've been experiencing unending violence from the attack in 2008, the attack in 2012, Operation Protective Edge, which I mentioned in 2014. And, what I've noticed since I've been working in Gaza is that every year during Ramadan, they are getting bombed. This is not an isolated occurrence. This happens every year that I've been following and been involved in Gaza. So people over there are so traumatized, and this work we're doing will help to really address that, and hopefully will spawn this alternative healing, this healing that's so alternative to Gaza, and we'll see more of that, and see more connection between healers around the world and the people of Gaza. So
that's fantastic.
Especially the young people.
Yeah.
There's so much trauma there. I've seen so many videos of children. And in fact, I saw one of a 10-year-old girl today, and she was just saying, what can I do? I'm just a child. How can I help my people? I don't know. I just want to be a doctor so that I can help them or something. I mean, she's a 10-year-old. She sounds so much more mature than she should be at her age for 10 years old. No child in this country, for the most part, I would think, and has experienced something to that level, the level of trauma. I mean, your own children, I can just imagine. If you have any,
it's incredible. I mean, yesterday, I got a report. There was a 16-year-old boy who actually lost all of his family except for his mother in 2014. And when this assault started, he started panicking, as you can imagine. And then, so many kids there just have, their anxiety and their mental state is so fragile. And this young man started panicking, and then his mother was killed. And he jumped out of an 8-story window and killed himself. And, this is the legacy that Israel is creating right now. And
it's a massive, an enormous amount of human rights violations. That's what it boils down to.
Right.
They bomb you in schools.
Homes, they're bombing schools, and people are scattered. We have so much people trying to flee the area, again, because of massive human rights violations, and we have to call it for what it is.
Right.
Right.
And I think, it's so critical that all of us, it's hard to be informed, and really educated on what's happening there. But again, I would urge people to follow Ramzi Baroud on Twitter or on Facebook. And he is one of the most tireless activists, humanists, and journalists that is posting about that area right now. And his information is completely factual and historical, and it's great to share. And I think we all need to really come together and be committed to taking action, to contacting our representatives. We have to put pressure on our representatives to end the occupation, to bring about a solution that grants equal rights to Palestinians and Israelis and provides safety and security for both of them. And we have to keep up the pressure, because I think we could be at a tipping point, and we cannot back down now.
You're absolutely right, Lisa. And I think that brings up a point about the fact that we do have progressive people in Congress now as well, who are able to speak on behalf of the Palestinian struggle, especially Representative Rashida Tlaib, who herself is Palestinian American. Her family, her grandmother, I believe, is still in Palestine. And without the fact that we had this unexpected, incredible run from Bernie Sanders, who made it possible for these women and men, people of color, to run for office and win at that level, that they can now express themselves, and has been great, because now the commentators, the reporters on cable news are actually asking questions of other Democrats and saying, well, you're getting pressure from members of your caucus, and they're saying this is not okay. What are you going to do about that? I mean, what do you think about what they're saying? So now we can have a conversation on a national level and hear these opposing opinions, which we could not have before before Bernie Sanders ran in 2016, we didn't have anybody in Congress. You had like all the members of the Senate or the House or whatever signing, these resolutions saying, we have our unwavering support to Israel. Nothing will get between us and Israel. And now there are voices. So I think this is a moment for us to also recognize that things are changing. And it seems slow, but actually I think things are changing rather quickly in a way. I mean, 2016 was only 5 years ago. So we just need to keep doing what we're doing. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. Keep running for office. Keep getting out in the street. Help Lisa at her organization. Go to Palestine if you can, or whatever. So
how can
go
people
ahead,
get in,
Carlos. Yes.
how can people get in touch with you? How can they help you?
Right. So a couple of things. So if we need to put a plan as to what we can do from an action standpoint. If there's anything, I think that an easy thing, if anyone wants to donate any amount to this healing center that we're doing in Gaza, they can go to thepeaceproject.com/give, thepeaceproject.com/give. And then if anyone wants to get involved in any other way, then please reach out to me at lisa@thepeaceproject.com. And we'll figure out how to get people involved based on what they want to offer, whether it's time, whether it's a skill, whether it's connections. I always say everyone can do something. And our work and the way that we've done it has been proving that, everyone has something to give, including the people of Gaza. It's always mutual aid. We can always learn and grow from each other. And, I think that it's a pleasure always to be talking to you, Carlos, because of the tireless work you do and the inspiration that you cause for all of us to keep on going.
And Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And again, the feeling is mutual. You inspire me, and the opportunities that you provide for other people to get involved, which is unique because most of the people are trying to promote themselves. You do the opposite. You're always promoting other people. So I love you for that. And I thank you for that.
Yeah.
And this broadcast today, with our thoughts in mind for the people of Palestine that have suffered so much. And what we want to find is a solution, lasting solutions. You bringing hope to the young people out there in Gaza is tremendous. So we commend you for that work.
Thank you. Thank you, Margot. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Lisa, for joining us today. Thank you for the update.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Thanks.
You too. Take care. So let me see here. Okay, so we have Antonieta with us. So I'm going to bring her on. But first I wanted to say something really quick, is that I think that what's interesting, I see a correlation or similarities with what's happening with the Black Lives Movement and police brutality, in the sense that, the things that have been happening with Palestinians has been happening since 1948. But it's becoming much harder to ignore, in the same way that it's becoming harder to ignore the police brutality against Black and brown people, because we have new technology. We have every phone has a camera. Mine has 3. and because of that and the internet, we cannot escape these videos. They're out there. We see them every day. And that is helping make this change possible. So we have to also say, a thanks to the fact that we have this technology that makes it easier for us to share these.
And Margaret, the things that we are seeing in with Black Lives Matter, with Palestine, we are also seeing in Colombia.
Yes.
So our guest today, Antonieta, we have had her here before. A tremendous voice for the Colombian community here in Southern California, a poet, and so much more. we want to welcome her this morning as she joined us so that we can talk about what's happening in Colombia, because people are getting killed there too by their own government. And with us, we'd like to welcome at this time Antonieta. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Antonieta. Thank you for being
Hi,
here with us.
hi. Thank you for inviting me again. It's very. I have no words at this moment. It's very. It's beyond traumatic for me, for my people in Colombia. I've been following very closely what's going on the 28th ever since the 28th of April, which was called by all the organizations and all the people of Colombia for un paro nacional, a national strike, because the president was escalating a series of tax reforms. Last year, he gave a big tax cut, and this probably sounds familiar, to the most rich, to the richest people, to the multimillionaires. And after that, he dedicated billions of dollars to buy arms, tanks, and weapons from the United States and from other, from Spain and Europe. And then this year, he passed a tax resolution that was going to basically socialize hunger and destitution for the middle class down, because the tax reform that he was putting had to do also with the tax reform to the health, which basically finishes health for most Colombians, and people there is already in a state of a lot of discontent because the health system doesn't work. Then he wanted to pass a tax reform for the income, affecting millions of Colombians, especially those of the poor sector, the poor and middle class. And given the circumstances, people could not bear anymore. People is in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of already feeling hunger, and people decided to go to the streets and protest. But instead of hearing the problem of the people and giving a solution, he decided to give the order of sending the police and sending the police. I'm sorry that I'm just having a little technical problem here. Sending the police and the SMAD, a group called the SMAD, which is basically like security forces, brutally attacking the people, especially the young people. Imagine that here you organize a protest and already people with hunger, with people dying from the pandemic and for the bad conditions of the health system, with no work, with no opportunities. And instead of helping you, your own government sends the police forces and to attack the people. So right now, approximately 1,000 people disappeared, 50 people dead, countless sexual violations, including that of a girl, 17-year-old Allison. She was raped brutally by 4 police, and she appeared suicide. And after that, we learned that she was the daughter of a policeman. That happened in the Ciudad of Popayán. So the whole country, all the cities, Cali, Medellin, Bogotá, Bucaramanga, all the cities in Colombia, Popayán, are uniting to this strike, because it just goes beyond the reform. The tax reform was like the drop that broke the vessel, really. So now we have countless disappears, and they're using war weapons against the civilians, going inside the barrios de los obreros, the workers' barrios, striking people from helicopters. So now we're calling an SOS urgent to the international community, to human and civil rights watch, Amnesty International, to the ONU, and to all the people in the world to help us, to help Colombia. And we are asking expressly the United States government, Mr. President Biden, and the people in charge of the weapons to Colombia, please stop aiding Colombia. The government had declared the war against its own people. Iván Duque's government should be protecting the citizens, not attacking them. And these are young people. Imagine that you're doing this to young people, boys and girls that are the future of Colombia. So what we are cultivating right now is basically dead and war for the future of our country. There's also the environment, which has been put in danger, because all the help that seems to get to Colombia from the United States and the European is either weapons or what's called insumos to make drugs, which they go without tax or anything, by the thousands of pounds of insumos. I don't know what the word insumos is. Basically chemicals that get there free. They enter through the ports with no one watching, and the glyphosate. So we're calling the international community to please help us put a stop to this madness. This is outrageous, and today we're asking the police to go with us to the Grand Park. There is a manifestation there. There have been several ones in different cities around the world. In Colombia, we can see the countless videos that prove that the undercover police had been infiltrating the marches and the strikes with agitators, and there are countless videos that show as a proof that infiltrators had been agitating, and they caused the attacks to the police to give them the excuse to the police to then attack the peaceful marches. This is people that are manifesting with songs, with dance, asking to change the conditions. By the 30th or 2nd of May, the president finally dropped the tax reform. But given the violent way in which the government treated its own people, the people decided to go to the streets every day now since April 28th. The Colombian people had been in the streets, and when the evening and night comes, then the police comes out to attack the people. And they had been showing, and I repeat this because we know that they are, as we speak, trying to put down the videos showing the evidence. And we're organizing this evidence so it goes to the proper authorities to show what is happening in Colombia. It is important because this is not new. This comes from a previous administrations that have perpetuated this criminality, this impunity in the government. Especially there was an ex-president that called through a Twitter order. By Twitter, he, ex-president Uribe, gave an order for the forces to attack the people. And the president, Ivan Duque, just follow up on that order.
Right.
They are using a weapon that directly strikes 12 cartridges of this gas straight to the people, and they have been striking people directly in the head. People have lost the lives, eyes, and struck in all kinds of ways. Then we have seen also people being struck with people walking and police stopping and killing people right there on the spot, execution style.
Right. Antonieta, I know that you're describing really well the situation in Colombia. And I know that there's been countless of people that have been hurt through all the actions that their own government has done against the people. Here in Los Angeles, Margot, we have had already 3 different protests in support of the people of Colombia. It started last week where there was a vigil, candlelight vigil in downtown Los Angeles. We documented that. Then it moved to the Colombian consulate in Beverly Hills. There was a march out there. And most recent, this past Friday, there was one right here in Hollywood where organizers organized a march on Hollywood Boulevard and ended up in CNN. But Margot, what's really important tonight, there is going to be a historic event taking place in downtown Los Angeles at City Hall.
Yes.
Yes, they're going for the first time in history here in Los Angeles. The City Hall will be lit up with the colors of the flag of Colombia. This is very important, Margot. Give us some of your thoughts.
Yellow, blue, and red.
Yeah, I think we need to get people out there.
Yes, and we are asking people to bring flowers, to bring candles, to bring cacerolas, what we call cacerolas, pads to rattles, instruments. Yes, and to support the people, but we need also an organized campaign to call the attention on the support that is given to the military and to the police by the government, because we need to stop that aid.
Yeah, so Antonieta, go ahead,
yes.
finish your thought.
Yes, and that is very important for us in this moment, that this gets to the proper authorities in the government to call attention upon the military aid that is being steadily given to Colombia, and in light of these human and civil rights violations. This is untold in all of Latin America, with the disappearances and the previous case in the International Court of documented, proven 6,004 false positives in the previous administration, in the period of 2 decades, to the last 2 decades. Countless disappearances, but the false positives or falsos positivos was these young people living all over Colombia that was kidnapped by the military force, the police, sent by the narco paramilitary state, basically disappearing the people, and then they dress them. They bring them to the jungle, they dress them like guerrilleros and kill them and present them as killed guerrilleros, all because of a law that was placed by Uribe to pay for body count, like around $1,500. It's horrific what they did. And now all the documented cases, and we need to call up attention on this, that now this strike is a social movement. People of Colombia are tired of that, the impunity of the government, and we need a change, and we need to call the attention of the international institutions to help bring these people to justice.
Right, absolutely. And Antonieta, my question is, do you know how much of the military weapons that Colombia owns were purchased from the United States? Do you know, is there any connection between the type of weapons they use against the people and the arms sales that come out of the United States?
Well, one of the things, it has like different stages, because one example is Plan Colombia. You will go back to a couple of decades, 10 years, 20 years ago. Plan Colombia was a plan of sending basically ammunition, tanks, helicopters, weapons, and Agent Yellow, which is the glyphosate, to attack the coca production. But what happens is that they irrigate that. They use actually the glyphosate as a weapon. They irrigate the campo, the countryside. They killed all the animals, all the food, all the the vegetables and the plantains and everything that is food. And what happened? The coca gets stronger. It's not. They should be sending money for social.
Well, we have known for sure that the United States have sent literally hundreds of millions of dollars to Colombia, supposedly for the war on drugs. But we know that it's not working, it has not worked. It has created an enormous amount of violence. And we still have a lot of drugs coming into the United States, not only through Colombia, but so many different ways. But it is a waste of money, and the people are not receiving any kind of help. But today we got Grand Central at 7:00, and inviting the general public to come out and join us as we stand together with the people of Colombia, in solidarity with the people of Colombia, as we are going to witness our city hall, Los Angeles City Halls, being lit up with the colors of the flag of Colombia, symbolizing our solidarity with the people that are suffering right now.
Mhm.
So we invite you again. It's going to be at Grant Park at 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to be posting some
Tonight.
graphics so that people can join us. Come and join. Come stand in solidarity. It's very important that we show a united front, showing that we are strong in our support for the people of Colombia.
Thank you. And I would like to read something for my people. I have a poem in English. It's called Fasting. We're supposed to be fasting, but my people is being forced to do fast for other reasons. There is no money to buy food, and most of Colombians are in hunger right now. In the middle of a pandemic, so this is called fasting. We all need a good fast. That is why today you are fasting from crowds. You don't understand the college boys with their pace of desolate puppies. You don't understand the clerks and their secretaries, their confinement of squad numbers in cups of coffee. You do not understand the homemakers and their scraggly baskets or the hole in their wallets. You neither understand police and thieves, nor merchants and their buyers bent on their strident daily rituals. You don't understand the television programs or the whole that they declare on solitude. Today you are fasting from crowds, from bystanders, from parks and squares, from the urgent going fast. We all need a good fast to recover what is said by the silence of things. But anything that my people is doing right now, they're on the street every day, waiting to see that the situation changes in the favor of most Colombians. We are sick and tired of the impunity and the cruelty and I have no words. The response of the government is outrageous. This is state terrorism. I don't have no other word in international terms. I don't know what else to call this. So I called upon the United States government and the people, the organizations, to please help Colombia, help us stop this monstrous way in which this government is killing the young people, people that has no opportunities, no future. So we need to work on this.
Yes, thank you, Antonieta. Thank you for sharing your story and then giving us an update on what's going on in Colombia, because I don't think it's in the mainstream news here very much in the United States. And it's just a horrifying situation, hearing all these people being disappeared and the the attacks on your own people. How long? I know we have to, but I just curious, really quick. How long has Ivan Duque been in office?
He's been. I think the periods are 4 years, and he has 1 more year to go. That's the interesting thing. There has been an escalation of conscience in the Colombian people at realizing that the previous administrations, but the situation for the people is only getting worse and worse and worse as we speak every day. And this president has not complied with anything of the promises. And the people, the last thing that they expected is that in the middle of a pandemic, when thousands of people are, without vaccines, millions of people, there's only 10%. And there was even an instant in which journalists were saying that agents from the government had called the health people to tell them to go slow with the vaccines. I know this sounds very heavy, but that's what filtered to some courageous journalists, because what we're seeing is journalists getting killed right and left, social workers, social leaders, young people for organizing the people and informing the people. People is being attacked for videotaping. The girl that was raped by the 4 police was videotaping, and they called her. So people is sick and tired in Colombia of this outrageous way in which the government is just killing people. They are bent on finishing from the middle class down, and now even the middle high people, because all the small businesses. And we have to remember that in Colombia, the informal work is like 45%. So the government is not working for the people. That does not represent the people. And on seeing this, people is going more and more to the left and united in a historic pact. Different political parties are uniting, and Ivan and Uribe, on realizing this, they started escalating a plan that seems to be for the destabilization of the country, to call on a figure that is internal commotion, so they can declare ¿cómo se dice el de
martial law?
Martial law, and stay in power. And that's exactly what they are doing. So the people are realizing that, they sounded all the alarms, and they say, this is what these people is doing. They want to declare.
But we got to make
it is clear. It is clear what they are doing. And it's only 6 months to the next elections,
right?
Because they realized they did. Let me finish this. They did the electoral studies, and there is one candidate that has an overwhelming majority, and they know they are not going to win. So now they're preempting and ransacking the government and killing as many people as they want, basically doing the destruction.
Right. What I was going to say, Antonieta, is that Ivan Duque is doing exactly what Trump did. He's following steps.
Yes.
Basically, the same playbook, and he's using violence, creating a certain conditions so that people are fighting each other, or again using the nationalism, and all these kind of ideals to continue to oppress the people. But don't forget tonight is going to be an important night. We remind you to going to be at Grand Park at 7:00 tonight to witness a historic moment where City Hall, the city of Los Angeles City Hall, will be lit up with the colors of Colombia's flag. So in solidarity with the people of Colombia. Margot?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to give that thank you to the organizer, to the main organizer of this march. Her name is Aura Vasquez. And I met her through a Zoom reunion that we had with a group of people that are organizing the information that we need to bring to people, so to call attention on the Colombian case and to ask for help. So thank you so much, Margot and Carlos. Thank you very much, and I hope that out of all these efforts, we're going to at least stop. There is one weapon that we need to stop. It's made by Venom. It's an horizontal weapon that is sending 12 cartridges at the same time, and they're using it straight on the people. It has a strike many people, killing them and injuring them.
Yeah, it's horrible, Antonieta, but we unfortunately have to wrap up the show now. But as Carlos said and Antonieta said, there will be a protest downtown, a demonstration. And Carlos, could you remind us again about the time and the location?
Yes, that will be tonight. So we hope that wherever you may be listening from, come and join us tonight at 7 o'clock in downtown Los Angeles at Grand Park. That is right across the street from Los Angeles City Hall. We are going to be on Hill Street, 200 Hill Street. And pretty much we're gonna have a wide view of City Hall as it is lit up with the colors of the flag of Colombia. The last time that we were there was folklorico from the people of Colombia. There was music. People were chanting. They were dancing. There were poems. The people of Colombia is such a beautiful people. They bring so much culture, and that's what you're going to experience tonight when you come and offer your support for the people of Colombia. Come and join us tonight, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you to our guests, to Lisa Schultz for her update on Palestine, and to Antonieta Villamil, who I consider as our poet in resident. I'm giving this this really, really important update on the situation in Colombia. And I hope that anyone who is in the area can come out tonight and participate in this and show solidarity with the people of Colombia in their struggle there. So again, you've been watching our show, Stand Up, Fight Back. We air every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And every now and then we switch it up and we do a 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time show. I'm your co-host, Margot Paez. Right below me is the other co-host, Carlos Marroquin. And it's been a pleasure being here with you this morning. And don't forget, get vaccinated. I just got my second dose. I'm feeling pretty good and I'm very happy. And it's a privilege right now to be vaccinated. So take advantage of that and still wear your mask and be mindful of and protect others who have not yet been vaccinated. We'll see you again next week for another interesting and exciting show, Stand Up, Fight Back. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
We love you guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.